we got some guidance or at least some thought leadership from OpenAI about how AI systems like ChatGPT should behave. So, OpenAI recently published a blog post that addresses some of the known issues with ChatGPT's behavior. It also provides some education on how ChatGPT is pre trained and how it is continuously fine tuned by humans. In the post, OpenAI also outlines 3 steps that can be taken to build more beneficial AI systems. And in the context of ChatGPT, these include improving ChatGPT's default behavior by better addressing biases in the tool's responses. It involves defining the AI's values within broad boundaries. They mentioned you will soon be able to better define ChatGPT's values by customizing its behavior. And it also involves getting more public input on how these tools work. So, OpenAI is now making more of an effort to incorporate more public input on how the system's rules work. Now, this is really just kind of the initial thought leadership from OpenAI on this topic. Doesn't seem like anything super formal or definitive just yet. But Paul, you mentioned in a LinkedIn post about this that it's going to be to make these systems safer or more beneficial will be, quote, a very messy, iterative process. What do you mean by that?
I mean, if you just read the post, it's very obvious they don't know how to do this.
Mm.
And I think that's the biggest challenge is this was again, like I don't think people don't know my background. I actually started my career in public relations. So I did crisis communications management and communication strategy and planning and media relations and investor relations. And this, I don't know that like they have a PR team that did this, but this is a PR move. Like they're trying to, um, control the messaging a little bit. Like I'm sure they're getting crushed right now on how this tool, like the negative downsides of this tool and what is going on. And they needed to try and take control of the narrative. So this was a very strategic post that laid out why the problem is so challenging, what they're doing about it, and gave a little background into how it all works that I haven't seen them share before.
Mm.
So I looked at it from the perspective of a communications strategy of they're trying to kind of control the narrative here a little bit and make people know they're aware of these things. So the reason I think it's going to be messy is they address the how involved humans are in the ongoing review and tuning of these models. This becomes immediate the issue we then face related to bias. So what they're basically saying is like right now, there's a lot of human decisions going into what this thing will show and not show, what it will answer and not answer, how it will answer it. And so anytime you do that, which is all the time in AI, you're injecting bias. No matter how objective you try and be, there are going to be, different sides in society and government and business that want you to do it a different way. And so there's no simple way to do that. And so their way of doing it appears to be like we're going to take more public input. Great. Like good luck. Like who do you listen to? So like once you open it up to the public, now again, it's the bias of both sides are going to have opinions about how this thing should work and what should be allowed in it. So there's no easy answer there. So then the one that worries me, and it obviously worries them as well, is they state that there's going to be basically this chat GPT system that's going to have far fewer restrictions and tuning. So what they're saying is rather than us trying to create a single system that everyone uses, we're going to actually remove a lot of the guardrails from this thing.
Mm.
We're going to let it go crazy if you want your version of it to go crazy. So we will individually get to choose what version of ChatGPT we see. You can almost picture slider scales of how, from a political perspective,
Mm.
where do you want it on the spectrum? You want it far right, far left, moderate, whatever. That's what I'm envisioning when I read this is they're going to put this power back in. And the quote from them is, this will mean allowing system outputs that other people, ourselves included, may strongly disagree with.
Mm.
Striking the right balance here will be challenging. Taking customization to the extreme would risk enabling malicious uses of our technology and what is that word? Psychophantic? I don't know what that AIs that mindlessly amplify people's existing beliefs. Do you know what that word means? Psychophantic.
No.
That's a
We
good one.
we're gonna have to ask ChatGPT what that means after this.
Um, so basically, our systems can go nuts, and we're going to allow it to happen. And so when I read that, that's when I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So what I said in my LinkedIn post was, "There's no quick fix here. OpenAI is working on a more responsible AI system, although whether or not they achieve that will be highly subjective. So whatever they think is more responsible, you and I may completely disagree with and be like, how in the world are you allowing an AI
Mm,
into the public that can do the things you're allowing it?" And their response appears it's going to be, well, you can control your version of it, so it doesn't do that. So the it's going to get so messy, and the government's going to step in here at some point. I originally thought it was going to take a few years, but I
mm,
think they're going to have to move way faster. I wouldn't be surprised if by the middle to end of 2023 we're not seeing, at least in the US, committees formed to be analyzing the impact of language models on society, and the government like trying to put some sort of guardrails in place, because right now it's going to live within the domain of these tech companies, and we're trusting that they're going to figure this out for us, and
mm,
this is too powerful of a technology. It's going to it's going to become a utility. It's going to be like electricity. Like, it's just going to be everywhere within everything we use. And to think that like five tech companies based in Silicon Valley are going to get to determine this, that's why you have this open movement like Stability AI and others, where they're just like, just give it to the people, let them
mm.
figure it out. I don't know what the right answer is. That's why I think it's messy, is there is no clear right answer here of how to do this.
So it sounds like if you're a business thinking about using this technology, we're very quickly going to get into a world where the responsibility is on you for figuring out how the outputs appear. If you're using it in your own models and your own customer facing activities, even internally.
Yeah, I don't see another path, honestly. I think that's how they're gonna build it, is where it's gonna be the individual user or organization that determines the the version of this stuff that they have. Um, I don't know. I mean, I you could literally sit around for like a week and ponder where this goes, and I haven't done that yet, but I think it's gonna be very, very rapidly moving this year. There's gonna be lots of conversation, and I don't know about, we say progress, but um, it's gonna move very quickly.
So, speaking of moving quickly, you also mentioned in your LinkedIn post that most people are unaware that OpenAI's mission is to achieve something called artificial general intelligence, or AGI. And this concept is mentioned, I believe, in sentence one of their
Mhm.
post. Can you talk a bit more about that, the importance of that, what that means? Because I think people just think in some cases OpenAI is creating chatbots, and that's not what's going on here.
Yeah, I think it's very safe to assume that most business leaders and marketers and writers have no idea what why these companies actually exist and what AGI is, and why they're working towards it. And the people that do think about this stuff differently and look at it through a very different lens. So, yeah, AGI is basically right now what we have is AI agents or systems that are built to do very specific tasks. So, like, write your blog post, or come up with a subject line for an email, or manage your ad spend, or write your social media shares, or whatever. It's like it's trained to do a specific thing. The goal is to build general agents that are like humans, that can do multiple things. We can jump from one thing to the next, and we can just do these tasks. So we can have the ability to do multiple tasks with multiple goals throughout our day. And that's what these research labs are trying to build, is general intelligence. These machines that can do human-like things, multitude of them throughout the day, in different environments, digital, offline. Um, and the idea is that if we can build this general intelligence, then we can solve all the other really big problems. So OpenAI's mission, the reason they were created, was to build general intelligence and to ensure that it benefited humanity. The reason that Google DeepMind was created was to build general intelligence. Many of the leading researchers today are working on or pursuing AGI. Now, there are way bigger conversations around what are the implications of that and what's the negative effects of that.
Mm,
The general sense is that the people who are working on this believe it will be a net positive for humanity and society if we can get there, that from there we can build a world of abundance because we can solve all these big problems like climate change and hunger and disease, and like that's what they're thinking about. And so language is a path to that. So there are, again, not all AI researchers, but many see language understanding and generation as a path to achieving human level intelligence, that we have to first understand language. So part of the reason we're able to do what we do as humans is because we have language. So that's part of the belief. There's another, like Jan LeCun at Meta slash Facebook is of the belief that these agents need to perceive the world around them, and they can actually learn a lot from being able to better perceive what's going on around them and simulated worlds and things like that. So again, there's different paths to how we get there, but generally the reason OpenAI exists is not to write your blog posts and your emails and build third party tools that allow you to do these things. It's to achieve general intelligence. And us as marketers and writers playing around with these tools and writing our articles and social shares and ad copy, we're just we're just contributing to the training of a general intelligence agent. Like they don't care. Like we're a path to make money in the process and they have to make some money, but OpenAI doesn't care about whether or not marketers have better tools for writing. It's not why they existed. It might be a revenue path to get them to AGI, but that's really what it is. So, yeah, I think, and we'll talk more about this. There's a lot I've been working on with the AGI space and things I've been thinking about and planning to write, and maybe we'll talk about more on the show. But I think it's the deeper we get into this, the more important it is that the average marketer, business leader realizes there's way more to the story of AI than fun, interesting tools that 10x your output and efficiency. Like
mm.
that's not why most of these tools were being created, I guess is the point.